Okay, so this is part 2 of the lecture. So we're going to turn this from the general presentation stuff that you girls that have had my class before, you already pretty much knew that. And let's turn this into specific for this presentation that you have to do. So, pro tips from a pro, presentations 101. First of all, your audience, your tools, your message, your audience is important. If you can make a connection with this audience, and the girls said that I made a connection with them that made the class interesting, that if you can do that with the mayor, it's going to mean an awful lot. So first of all, who is your audience and what can you do to appeal to them? Do you know anything about this man? Because if not, I'm going to coach you up today. Who is Matthew Marchant? When I came in this morning, Shannon, one of the seniors on your team, immediately said, I follow him on Twitter, and pulled his Twitter account up. You want to take a look? Because I want you to make some guesses about who you think this man is. And then I'm going to ask you, what do you think he might like? What do you think he wants you to say, is what I'm asking. Okay, what do you get from this image? I think he's comfortable in his own skin. He has a silly picture of the mayor up there, and he's surrounded by kids giving him the rabbits.
He has a sense of humor.
I think he has a sense of humor. He would not have taken that picture, would he? Notice anything else?
He's very friendly.
What does he look like to you? If you had to guess what he did for a job, you didn't know he was the mayor.
Like a principal.
Okay, what else maybe? Lawyer. He's a real estate lawyer, okay? He buys and sells million-dollar houses or sues people that don't pay their bills or something like that, but there's a lawyer. Now, I want to show you the other picture on his used to be my picture. This is his Twitter, and I think this reveals more about the mayor. But I want to show you the other one, guys. This was the first one that I found. This was after he was elected in 2011. He looks a lot more like a lawyer in this picture, doesn't he? I wonder if he had an image consultant along the way that said, I don't know, quit dyeing your hair, or make, you need a haircut, or you don't smile enough, or those glasses are not helping you, because this is politics, right? This is a completely different game than what we're trying to do. But I noticed that he's been in town for an awful long time. He also he won the election again, so he's been the mayor for a while. He cares about transit-oriented stuff. He's on that committee, the Regional Transportation Council. Now, let's look at his background in education. He went to CFB-ISD. He graduated from Trinity Christian Academy. You know where that is? Okay. Southern Nazarene University in Bethany, Oklahoma. Does that tell you anything about him? Ms. Holditch?
I would probably say conservative, religious.
Southern Baptist?
Southern Baptist.
Southern Baptist conservative? You bet. The most conservative. If we're at a church dance, I better see some light between you kids, kind of conservative, okay? Now, if we know that, are we going to make a bunch of jokes about Mitt Romney? Probably not, because that would be a bad call, because it wouldn't appeal to your audience, right? That's what I'm saying. Figure out who your audience is, and that's the biggest thing. If I leave you with anything today, think about your audience, and then give them what they want or what you think they need. Watch them respond. It'll make you feel better and settle down, okay? So after he went to this Southern Baptist University in Oklahoma, then he went to UT and got a law degree. And he's a partner at a nice law firm. He practiced real estate and finance attorney. He's been married. He's got 2 little girls. Okay, now let's look at the Twitter page again. I'm going to scroll through and I want to see if you pick up anything about who this guy is. All right? So this tells a lot to me. He's got a silly picture. What is that, from The Simpsons or something? Okay, so if he's willing to put a Simpsons picture up on his Twitter account and pose up with a bunch of little kids, he's going to be a great audience for us. You know, so there's a positive, a negative, and a neutral audience, right? If I'm here to enjoy and believe what you're saying, like Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, for example, right? I showed up because I believe the message. That's a positive audience. A negative audience is going to be one you're going to have to persuade, and I don't know how much persuasion you're going to have to do to get the mayor to believe that we need to help old animals, right? So I don't know if it's a negative audience. I think he's a positive audience, right? And the other one is neutral, okay? But I think this is a positive
And
audience.
the fact that he's with kids makes me think that he's involved in education.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And you said he looked like a principal, right? So this is all sort of, I bet he spends a lot of time in people's classrooms and getting to know teachers or kids if he's on campus. And when I scroll through his Twitter, I see a lot of different things. So let's see if we can figure out who this guy is real quickly, see what you notice. Okay. Time to put this baby on a boat. What is that? Some kind of a bell or something? I'm guessing it's some kind of a bell. So this was confusing. I had no idea. The next thing I noticed that he was all excited that Saki Toomey Sushi is opening in Carrollton, and that it was the first expansion from California. He's West Coast, I'll bet. I bet he spent some time on the West Coast if he knows about sushi in California. Now, he grew up in Carrollton, but my guess is he may have some experience, so something about California might be interesting to him in my speech, or he would know something about it. He went to Rudy's Tortillas. That's a local business. He seems very proud of our local business and industry. That's his little girl running the trails. This was someone from Creekview that set a record in the hurdles. There's a little girl with a tennis racket. This was interesting. Pearl Jam concert at Reunion Arena in 1998. What a great poster. This guy likes rock and roll, even though you can't tell. He's super conservative. He went to a Baptist university, but back in 98, he liked that Pearl Jam. He probably wore a long sleeve flannel shirt and had messed up hair, like everybody else in 1998, okay? That tells me that's a real person. He's willing to share that on Twitter, even though he's the mayor. I put a Simpsons picture, yeah, I'm the mayor, but I'm a real person. So if you were sitting there, what are you scared at, thinking about the mayor? Not this mayor. He's gonna love you guys if you talk loud and look at him in the face. And that's really the first two important things, okay? Let's see what else we can pick up. Oh, he loves Special Olympics, honored to be there. Not angry because someone made him go and waste his time, but honored. He loves the new Carter Park. I did not know about this. They changed Thomas Park, this old tennis court, into futsal. Do you know what that is? It's a little kid soccer game where they have a smaller ball and stuff like that. That's cool. I didn't know that. This guy's all over town dealing with kids and projects and all kinds of stuff, isn't he? So I think if you think about suggestions like helping old animals, he's gonna absolutely love it, is what I think. All right, so do you understand what I'm saying? I kind of stalked him, didn't I? I have to figure out who my audience is. I know what she likes. I can do that. You want to put me in front of the mayor? I don't want to hear what you say or what Agee says. I'm going to find out who the mayor is and then make the decision about what I present that he might like. Does that make sense? All right, cool. So who is he? I need some adjectives. What does he look like? And I think that's what we just went through. He's young. He likes kids. Maybe spent some time in California. He's an attorney. He used to really look like an attorney with those glasses and that hair, and now he looks like a hip young mayor is what he looks like. A hip young mayor. And I'll bet you $1 that the hip young mayor is a good way to get reelected. Do you know what I mean? That seems like somebody that we might vote for. He won 65% of the vote in 2011. So my guess is he's going to be our mayor for a while, but he seems to be interested in kids and what we're doing around town in business, in Special Olympics, in our schools, okay? All right, so we know who he is, so we might be able to do something that would appeal to him. Number two, if you don't look people in the eye and act natural, it's never gonna work. It's not natural, is it? We're all scared to death that we're gonna forget the next sentence. So really it is just about maintaining eye contact. Do you know in conversation, if we're having a conversation and I'm thinking, I'll say, it might have been, maybe 20 years ago, Miss Holdridge. Now that works in conversation, but when you do that in front of the audience, it looks like you're lost in your own speech, doesn't it? So that's what it looks like from the outside. We can do that in conversation, but we can't do that in the presentation. It makes us look lost. And that's why I want you to make sure and maintain eye contact. So they will believe you. So they will believe you. Number three, loud equal confident. Okay? Loud is confident. That is the first step to being a confident speaker. And don't take this wrong, but women especially, I need you to project. I need you to project. Unfortunately, in 2015, a woman with a soft voice does not get the credibility that they deserve. I know this from coaching women in debate for nearly 20 years. So trust me, if you'll just speak loud, it's the first step. But if you won't speak loud in front of a man in power, what's it gonna look like? I want you to equalize that power relationship. Does that make sense? I want you to be a powerful woman or a powerful young man in front of this powerful person, because they will appreciate the effort to look confident and in control. Because I'll bet that's what he had to do to win the election, didn't he? These are the things that aren't said out loud in the presentation that will truly mean something in the end.
And think about if he was running, if campaigning and he was up there talking and no one could hear him and he didn't look up, do you think he'd even get elected in the first place?
I don't
Would you
think
vote
he'd
for
get
him?
elected if he didn't make eye contact,
Mhm.
because I would think he
And
was
speak with some
shady,
confidence. I
that he
want
was
my
a
mayor to
liar,
listen.
and if he talked loud and looked at the floor, I'm thinking he's lying to me, he won't look me in the eye. I don't believe him.
Mhm.
You know how many kids, did you do that? They look at the floor. I know, because they're lying. We want to fight that stereotype, is what I'm saying. These are all stereotypes. If I ask you, what's the stereotype of the average teen? It's negative, isn't it? Let's not go into all the negative adjectives, but you need to overcome that with your voice and your eyes, is what I'm trying to tell you. And there's a lot of other stuff, but if you'll talk loud and look at somebody, that's about 90% of it, I promise you, okay? So we've got to speak loud and confident, even if we're falling apart on the inside, okay? Number four, think about the audience during your speech and how they're reacting, and if they like you or not is terrible. It is not the objective. You two girls know the only thing that will save you is the next sentence in your speech, correct? So this is about focus. He'll like it, trust me. If you practice and you look him in the eyes and you sound confident and you smile a little bit, he will like it. But during the presentation, the only thing that will save you and make you feel better about your speech and more relaxed is the next sentence. So it's a question of focusing on the next sentence. Speak slow enough to give yourself a chance to remember, and pause a lot, like what I'm doing right now, and you have a chance, okay? You always feel like you're speaking slower than you really are, but trust me, it doesn't sound as slow as you think it does. So if you'll all slow down, speak loud, make fewer mistakes, and look at someone and speak in a loud voice, man, you can fake it till you make it. Number five, do you know how to stall if he asks you questions and you don't know what to say? Because from Newman Smith, we cannot stand up there and go, I don't know. How do you stall? Do you have any idea? Let's ask Ms. Holdridge. I'll bet she's probably got a stall. I've got a stall. So if I said, if I ask you some question you weren't prepared for, here's one I got. I went to Jesuit to interview. It's a college prep for boys, religious school. Okay, so Ms. Holdridge, if I give you this job, I want to know, how are the children going to see God in your classroom?
That's a really good question. Okay. Is it okay? Because I'll have them sometimes. Can you repeat the question? But I don't know if that's what,
Technically, but that is you did the first sentence of my stall. So I say, and I did, that's a really good question. I hadn't really thought about that before. But I guess if you had to pin me down, I would say that, and then I said the most wonderful thing to that man. I said, God is love, and if the children are loved, then they will perform, and if they know they're loved, it's a better relationship, and I can get kids to perform that way. And that principal loved it.
That's a good.
Now, they wanted me to take a pay cut, so here I am at Newman Smith, but that was the right answer, but I didn't say the first thing on my mind. I had to think about it and buy myself time. So for me, that's a great question. I hadn't really thought about that before. If you had to pin me down, I'd say this. That's my stall. And you can do whatever you want, but think of something to buy yourself some time to answer the question. Because if they ask us about God in public school, I really have not thought about that very much. Had you?
No, and you got to be very careful how you answer that one.
Yes. Because he might be an atheist. Who knows? But anyway, sometimes you have to stall and look professional while doing it. The truth is, I have no idea what to say, and I can look scared to death and say, I don't know, or I can try to find a way to cover that tiny little piece and then say something in a loud voice and hope the audience accepts it and that they still continue to believe what I am saying because I am confident. Sometimes people will interrupt your presentations. They are less formal than public speeches. So sometimes he may, in the middle of this, say, okay, look, I got an old dog. And you're going to have to focus in on that and then get back on the presentation. How do we do that? You prepare for it. You know that might happen, and you think about stalling if you have to and answering the question in a good way. If Ms. Holdridge asked me why I quit my last job, I have two choices. I hated my boss because he was a racist, or I wanted more opportunities. Which one? Maybe both are true. Which one sounds better? Don't say the first thing that comes into your head. Say the right thing because you slowed down a tiny little bit and thought about it. So that's what stalling will help. And I'll bet not one teacher's ever told you about stalling on purpose, but that's precisely what you need to do. And in every other presentation, in every other teacher's classroom, find a way to stall till you get the good answer. Does that make sense? All right. Now here's the good part, gestures. Do you know what to do with your hands? Raise your hands if you're not sure what to do with your hands. Oh, you all got great
Everybody knows
gestures.
what to do with their
Cool.
hand?
Well, we can skip all these gestures I named. You guys seem to have all the gestures in the world. I'm going to tell you this stuff because I loved it. I learned about it in summer. I got a little bit of video. We got just a few minutes?
You've got about 5 minutes.
Okay, cool. I put the link on there for you too. And if you would like to go and watch this guy is amazing. It's a young man that I worked with from Plano Senior. He won Student Congress at the state tournament when he was a senior. And really an amazing young man to work with. But he did all this stuff about gestures, and he named his gestures, and we thought he was so smart. And then he told us that it came out of this book called The Exceptional Presenter by Timothy J. Kogel. So he stole the names of the gestures, added a few of his own, and had a great lecture about naming your gestures. I thought this was so silly at first, but then when I thought about it, that's brilliant. For a kid that doesn't know what to do with their hands, I need to give you 5 options, right? And then pick one of those. So let's go through these really quick. Some of these are ridiculous. But if you don't have any gestures, I want you to try some of these things. All right, just tell me what they are. I'm going to stand in front of this and tell you what they are. So what's the first one on the list?
The neutral position.
This is the neutral position, okay? And if you think you have to gesture like I do on every single thing, that is just awful. Don't do me. This is a good example of do what I say, not what I do. But this is the neutral position, and no one will ever punish you for standing like this. Okay, what's the next one?
Increase, decrease.
Increase, decrease, right? GDP in the town is increasing at a rate of 250% because of Rudy's tortillas. Okay, what's the next one?
Left, right.
left, right. That's, you can get with this, or you can get with that, or you can get with this, or you can get with that. Okay, you got two choices, Joe Schmo or Matthew Marchant for mayor. So it's a left-right move, that's all that is. Okay, what's the next one?
To come together.
Come together. That is the only time you put your hands together. Now, Sam, this young man that I work with, he says, don't you ever clasp your hands, because this is a barrier between you and the audience. You are literally making a fist. You are white knuckling in front of your audience and making a barrier. But if we have to cooperate, if we have to come together, if we have to solve a problem together, then that's a good gesture, and it takes both hands. So that's a good one. What's next?
The Bill Clinton.
The Bill Clinton. Do you know what the Bill Clinton is?
I'm trying to think. I know he did something with his hand.
Okay, well, make a fist. Make a fist. Do you think the audience likes this? Okay.
Oh, I did not.
Now, let's make the soft Bill Clinton. And he always did it out of emotion. You would see him use this gesture. He would say, the most important thing that we're talking about today is family. So, thumb on top. There's no white knuckles. It's a soft fist, isn't it? It's soft. And that's the other thing. Soften your gestures. Okay? What's the next one?
Claw.
The claw. This is the claw. You got a claw and you got a sweeping claw, right? Okay, what does the claw indicate?
However, emphasis.
Okay, however, right? What would be that? Let's see. There are over 300,000 old animals needing to be adopted. Something like that, okay? So the claw is just for emphasis. However, like that. Sweeping claw is different. That is a bad thing. So, if 300,000 animals a year are being exterminated, that devastated, a negative connotation, it's a sweep. And I like that one too. I'm like, sweeping claw? This kid's brilliant. He read it out of a book. Okay, so that's for emphasis. However, and that's a negative, devastate, awful, this is terrible. You could even do it with two hands. Okay, what else you got? The professor. I learned this from my aunt. She is legal, she's in charge of the paralegal school at Texas Wesleyan. But apparently professors like to do this one. I'm gonna unpack all this information for you. So what was it's like a smart person gesture. I don't know what else to say. And that's the way I learned it, was unpack, unwind. Let's deconstruct. Something like that. Let's break it down. That's what they're trying to say. What's the next one?
You already did that one, the sweeping.
Okay,
Catching.
sweeping claw. What else?
Catching.
These are bad gestures. Catching rain. Okay, Denise Urzendowski.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the next one?
One arm bend.
One arm bandit. These are awful.
Pointing at my hand.
Pointing's awful.
Yeah,
And this
never
is
point.
my worst gesture. I used to always do that. Is he gonna charge me and start fighting me? Why is Agee pointing in his hand so hard? Those are bad gestures. We don't catch rain. But ladies, we have a soft hand and we keep our fingers together. Show me your big hand. If you do that, it's like T-Rex, okay? Now, if you'll soften your hand and keep your big hand, pick your big fingers together, it's gonna look great. Okay, any others?
The hand.
Okay, this is bad. Hand
Hand.
clasp, never. Any others?
That's it.
You see my point? There's a few good gestures, and all that other aggressive-looking stuff is exactly what it looks like. So if you get a chance, start that video and watch maybe 10 or 12 minutes of Sam talking about gestures. It's very interesting. Do y'all have any other questions for me? Okay, we're going to try to do this later on down the road, but is that a good start for y'all?
Yes.
I just figured if I gave you 5 gestures, do these and don't do these, that it might help you. And help you understand who your audience is. This is a great audience for you guys. He's going to love whatever you do. But work on the opening and make it meaningful. Let's have a story about a dog. Let's have something about your experience in the library with no teen books. If we're still having to read The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton from 1953,
I love that
where
book, though.
Pony Boy gets hurt,
I love
man.
Pony Boy.
Me
Don't
too,
just Pony
me
Boy.
too, but maybe there's something newer. Okay, anything else? All right, see you next
All
time.
right, thanks, guys.